In 2023, everyone suddenly started dressing like they were too rich to care. $3,000 cashmere sweaters with no logos, beige everything, cream on cream on cream. If you knew, you knew. If you didn't, well, you probably weren't invited to the right dinner parties anyway. This was quiet luxury, the aesthetic that promised to separate the truly wealthy from the people just trying to look wealthy. By March 2026, it was dead, not declining, not fading, dead. What killed it wasn't another trend. It was something far more brutal. The rise happened fast. HBO's Succession ad, and suddenly everyone wanted to dress like the Roy family. Kendall's minimalist sweaters, Shiv's understated coats. Even Gwyneth Paltrow's court appearance in Utah became a masterclass in expensive simplicity. The message was clear: real wealth whispers, logos scream. The trend exploded across social media, with searches for quiet luxury peaking mid-2023. TikTok filled with videos explaining how to spot a $1,200 white t-shirt versus a $12 one. Here's what made it brilliant at first. Post-pandemic, people were exhausted by excess. Fast fashion felt vulgar. Designer logos felt desperate. Quiet luxury offered an escape, a return to supposed timelessness and quality. Buy less, buy better. Invest in pieces that last forever. It wasn't just fashion. Interior designers stripped homes down to beige walls and linen sofas. The aesthetic spread like wildfire because it felt smart, considered, adult. But something strange started happening around late 2024. Studio Ekstrom, a design firm, noticed their clients were getting bored. Beige rooms that all looked identical. Wardrobes where every outfit could belong to anyone. Mark Ekstrom put it bluntly. What made people comfortable was that their neighbors had the same look. Quiet luxury wasn't about personal taste anymore. It was about consensus, safety. The aesthetic had become cut-and-paste design, stripped of any actual personality. Then the definition started stretching. Anything ivory-colored without a logo became quiet luxury. Navy blazer, quiet luxury. White tank top, quiet luxury. The trend that was supposed to signal refined taste had become so broad, it meant nothing. People weren't using it to express themselves. They were using it to manipulate how others saw them, desperately trying to look wealthier than they actually were. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. The whole point of something being quiet is that you're not supposed to talk about it. Yet TikTok was drowning in quiet luxury content. People were loudly, performatively being quiet, posting their minimalist outfits, showing off their beige living rooms, explaining their capsule wardrobes. The perfect quiet luxury girl supposedly had a private Instagram with 30 followers, posting blurry photos only close friends would understand. But everyone was publicly performing this private wealth fantasy. Fashion became a rigid checklist. White top with those specific pants. Trench coat, never a jacket. No holes, no color, no personality. For an art form built on self-expression, quiet luxury had become a uniform. And uniforms, no matter how expensive, eventually feel like prison. In a world where economic trends shift this fast, my secret to keeping up is tubegun.ai. I actually use it to power this entire channel. It's my all-in-one pipeline for research, scripts, and high-fidelity voiceovers. The reason I can turn complex data into videos you see here every week without a full production crew. If you want to launch or scale your own channel with the same AI-driven efficiency I use, check the link in the description for a tubegun.ai discount. Now, back to the video. By early 2026, the fashion world had seen enough beige to last a lifetime. What happened next wasn't gradual, it was brutal and instant. Paris Fashion Week, March 2026. Valentino's off-calendar show opens with a model in head-to-toe sequins. Not subtle shimmer, full disco ball. The runway explodes with animal prints, clashing patterns, metallic leather, and logos bigger than your face. Copenhagen Fashion Week follows with maximalist chaos. Milan doubles down. By the end of the month, every major fashion house has made the same declaration. Beige is over. They called it loud luxury. Some called it maximalist confidence. Whatever the name, the message was identical. Color, texture, personality. Everything quiet luxury had stripped away was roaring back with a vengeance. South African stylist Andrea Cindy captured what everyone was feeling. She'd been toning down her maximalist style for years to fit the quiet luxury era, hating every second of it. When asked about the shift, she said, "I'm trying to get back into overdressing because I don't enjoy looking plain. For many of us, color and excess are part of how we exist in the world." That sentence hit like a hammer. Quiet luxury hadn't just been boring. It had been Erasure. Studio Ekstrom, the design firm that called out the beige epidemic, revealed something fascinating. They'd always believed the minimalist aesthetic was a misconception about real wealth. For people who are truly wealthy, privacy is the #1 luxury. Number 2, they've always been maximalists. The most elegant homes aren't spare showrooms. They're layered with books, art, family portraits, objects collected over decades. Lives well lived, not Instagram templates. Quiet luxury had sold people a fantasy that was never real to begin with. Then, Demna's Gucci debut happened. The most polarizing show of the season asked one question: who gets to define luxury in 2026? Instead of courting elites, Demna filled the front row with underground artists. Models wore massive Gucci bags and clashing prints. Critics called it tacky, a sacrilege of Gucci's legacy. But that was exactly the point. He was challenging who gets to police fashion, who decides what's acceptable. Analysts watching the industry noted the pattern. Luxury fashion is a cycle. Quiet luxury is a few years old now. People want something else. Novelty, newness, that's the focus. The final autopsy reveals why it died so fast. Quiet luxury was never about taste. It was about consensus, safety, fitting in while pretending to stand out. The second everyone realized they were all wearing the same beige uniform, the illusion shattered. You can't signal exclusivity when everyone's doing it. Fashion is supposed to be self-expression. Quiet luxury had turned it into performance art, where everyone performed the same character. Rich, tasteful, understated, boring. By mid-2026, the runways had moved on completely. Vivid colors, bold prints, metallic accents, low-rise pants and micro miniskirts, channeling early 2000s energy. Oversized sunglasses, chunky chains, extravagant nail art. Clothes that spoke before you did. People didn't want to disappear into beige anymore. They wanted to shine, in their own way, on their own terms. Quiet luxury became cringe the moment it stopped being about quality and started being about conformity. The moment whispering wealth became shouting insecurity. The moment everyone realized the emperor's new clothes were just expensive basics anyone could buy. The lesson here isn't complicated. Trends die when they become uniforms. When self-expression gets replaced by a checklist of acceptable choices. When the fear of standing out becomes stronger than the desire to be yourself. Quiet luxury promised authenticity, but delivered the opposite. It sold people on the idea that spending more while showing less made them sophisticated. That restraint equaled taste. That silence meant wealth. But real style has never been about following rules or seeking approval from people who supposedly know better. The truly wealthy never needed quiet luxury to prove anything. They were already living however they wanted, filling their homes with whatever brought them joy, wearing whatever felt right. The rest of us were sold a fantasy that looking rich mattered more than feeling like ourselves. So quiet luxury died because it had to. Because people got tired of performing, tired of beige, tired of pretending that expensive boredom was somehow superior to affordable personality. The pendulum swung hard in the opposite direction, and suddenly everyone remembered that fashion is supposed to be fun. The next time someone tries to tell you there's a right way to dress, a correct way to decorate, an acceptable level of expression, remember March 2026. Remember when an entire industry realized that nobody actually wants to blend in. We just convinced ourselves we did because everyone else was doing it. That's how trends become cringe. Not when they end, but when you realize you never actually liked them in the first place.